How does that feel to know that they love this film so much?
It's great, but I'm dead.
What if
So
I
I don't
told
have-
you that some of the greatest black legends in Hollywood didn't just die? They were taken in the most shocking, heartbreaking, and mysterious ways imaginable. Behind the fame, the awards, and the global admiration were tragedies the world was never prepared to face. Plane crashes that should have never taken off. Shootings that still have no answers. Silent battles with illness, addiction, and depression. Stories of stars who sacrificed everything, even their lives, for the people they loved. These weren't random accidents. Many of these losses were preventable, and every one of them changed black entertainment, music, film, and culture forever. Today, we're uncovering 10 of the most devastating celebrity deaths, stories that reveal the hidden cost of greatness and the darkness behind the spotlight. Before we begin, hit like, subscribe to Secrets of Black Star, and stay with us, because the deeper we go, the darker the truth becomes.
Lisa Left Eye Lopes, the visionary who felt death following her. Lisa Left Eye Lopes was more than just the fiery member of TLC. She was the rebel heart, the creative brain, and the spiritual seeker behind one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. Fans loved her sharp lyrics, bold fashion, and fearless attitude. But behind the fame was a woman searching for healing, purpose, and peace. After years of public scandals and emotional turmoil, Lisa traveled to Honduras to reset her life and document her transformation. But something strange happened there. During the trip, she survived a minor car accident, one that killed a young boy she accidentally struck. In her documentary, The Last Days of Left Eye, she said it felt like death was haunting her footsteps. Days later, on April 25, 2002, her intuition became reality. While riding in a Mitsubishi Montero, she swerved to avoid a truck. The SUV flipped violently, and without a seatbelt, Lisa was thrown through the windshield. She died instantly at just 30 years old. Her passing shocked the world, but her legacy still inspires women to be bold, authentic, and unapologetically themselves, proving that even in tragedy, Lisa's spirit remains unforgettable.
Aaliyah, the princess of R&B, stolen by negligence. Aaliyah wasn't just a rising star, she was the blueprint of modern R&B. With her futuristic sound, quiet confidence, and signature soft-spoken mystique, she was positioned to dominate an entire generation. But behind the flawless performances was a schedule controlled by adults who pushed harder than safety allowed. In August 2001, after filming the Rock the Boat video in the Bahamas, Aaliyah boarded a small Cessna plane that should have never taken off. It was overloaded with equipment, and the pilot, who wasn't licensed to fly the aircraft, had cocaine and alcohol in his system. Aaliyah reportedly didn't even want to board after seeing the crew argue, but she was assured everything would be fine. Seconds after liftoff, the engine failed, and the aircraft plunged 200 feet from the runway, killing everyone on board. She was only 22. Aaliyah's death wasn't destiny. It was negligence layered on negligence. And that's why her absence still hurts. She wasn't done. She wasn't even close. Her style, her sound, and her grace still define R&B today, proving that legends don't need decades, they just need a moment to change the world.
Tupac Shakur, the revolutionary left bleeding in Vegas. Tupac Shakur was more than a rapper. He was a revolutionary poet raised in the fire of activism. His music spoke to poverty, racism, love, fear, and the raw truth of Black America in a way no one before him dared. But with greatness came danger. In September 1996, after a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas, Tupac and his entourage became involved in a hotel lobby altercation, an event that would ignite the final explosion of the East Coast versus West Coast conflict. Hours later, as he rode in Suge Knight's BMW, a white Cadillac pulled up on the passenger side and unleashed a hail of bullets. Tupac was hit 4 times. He spent 6 days in the hospital, fighting for his life as fans gathered outside praying for a miracle. He died at only 25 years old. His murder remains shrouded in conspiracy, fear, and unresolved truths even decades later. Was it revenge? A setup? Industry silence? No theory has ever fully satisfied the world. But one thing is certain. Tupac didn't just leave music behind. He left a blueprint for resistance. His voice still echoes in classrooms, protests, murals, and generations of artists who treat honesty as their weapon.
The notorious B.I.G., the King of New York, silenced at a red light. Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, the notorious B.I.G., was the booming baritone of East Coast hip-hop. His storytelling, flow, and charisma turned Brooklyn grit into global poetry. But his rise happened in the shadow of Tupac's death, and the tension between the coasts had reached a breaking point. In March 1997, Biggie traveled to Los Angeles to promote his upcoming album, Life After Death, aiming to mend the fractured industry. But instead of peace, tragedy found him. After leaving a Vibe magazine party, Biggie's SUV stopped at a red light. A black Chevy Impala pulled up beside it. The driver raised a gun and fired 4 shots directly into Biggie. He was pronounced dead at 24. His case, like Tupac's, remains officially unsolved, buried under rumors of gang retaliation, music industry politics, and alleged police corruption. Biggie's death wasn't just the loss of a rapper. It was the end of an era. His talent was unmatched, his influence undeniable, and his absence left a crater in hip-hop that no one has ever filled. Yet even in silence, the King of New York still reigns. His words, his swagger, and his legacy live forever.
Kobe and Gianna Bryant, a legend lost with his little Mamba. Kobe Bryant was more than a basketball icon. He was a global symbol of discipline, obsession, and excellence. After 20 years with the Lakers, he retired into an even more impressive second act: storytelling, philanthropy, and shaping the next generation of athletes. At the center of that new life was his daughter, Gianna, Gigi, a fierce young prodigy who mirrored his passion and footwork. She wasn't just his child, she was his legacy in motion. On January 26, 2020, Kobe and Gianna boarded a helicopter in foggy conditions that multiple pilots had refused to fly in. As the aircraft descended blindly over the hills of Calabasas, it crashed at high speed, killing all 9 passengers instantly. The world didn't just lose an athlete. We lost a father and daughter who adored each other, a bond so powerful that even in tragedy, it united millions in grief. The pain came not only from losing Kobe, but from losing Gianna, the future of women's basketball. Their story reminds us that time is fragile, love is everything, and even heroes can fall from the sky.
Whitney Houston, the greatest voice found in a silent bathtub. Whitney Houston was the most awarded female artist of all time, the gold standard of vocal perfection. Her voice wasn't just powerful. It was emotional architecture, capable of raising goosebumps from the first note. But her life was shaped by immense pressure, abusive relationships, and the destructive escape of addiction. Even as she delivered historic performances, her private world was collapsing. On February 11, 2012, the night before the Grammys, Whitney was found face down in the bathtub of her Beverly Hilton suite. The official cause? Drowning due to heart disease and cocaine use. But the real cause was years of pain that fame could not erase. The world mourned instantly. Her death wasn't just a shock. It was a tragedy we all saw coming, but prayed would never arrive. Whitney gave everything to music: her childhood, her youth, her health, and ultimately her life. Yet her voice remains untouched by time.
Every run, every belt, every whisper reminds us why she was and still is the greatest to ever do it. Michael Jackson, the king who died preparing one more gift. Michael Jackson wasn't just a superstar. He was the most influential entertainer in modern history. From Thriller to Smooth Criminal, he reshaped pop culture, music videos, dance, fashion, and global performance standards. But behind the magic was a man crushed by lawsuits, insomnia, chronic pain, and decades of public scrutiny. In 2009, Michael prepared for his grand comeback, the This Is It Tour, a 50-show spectacle meant to remind the world who the king truly was. But the rehearsals were grueling, and his private struggle with sleep spiraled. Under the supervision of Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael relied on propofol, a hospital anesthetic never meant for home use. On June 25th, the drug stopped his heart. He died at 50. His passing shook the planet. Streets filled with fans. TV networks stopped regular programming. The world grieved together. Even in death, Michael Jackson proved he was one of one. He didn't just entertain the world, he changed it permanently. Prince, genius lost to a counterfeit pill. Prince Rogers Nelson wasn't just a musician. He was a universe unto himself. A virtuoso who mastered more than 20 instruments, produced his own albums, wrote timeless hits for others, and built an entire artistic identity that defied genre, gender, and gravity. But behind the electrifying performances and the glamorous mystique was a man quietly battling chronic pain. Years of splits, jumps, heels, and non-stop touring had pushed his body far beyond its limits. Prince turned to pain medication to keep performing, but even then, he never revealed the true extent of his struggle. In April 2016, everything ended in an elevator inside Paisley Park, the creative sanctuary he had built from his dreams. Prince died from a counterfeit Vicodin pill, unknowingly laced with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid so powerful that even a tiny amount can be fatal. He thought he was taking a routine pain reliever. Instead, he took poison. His death exposed a chilling truth. The opioid crisis spares no one, not even the greatest musical genius of our time. Yet Prince's legacy refuses to fade. His sound, his rebellion, and his fearlessness remain unmatched, echoing through every purple-lit stage around the world.
Chadwick Boseman, the king who fought cancer in silence. Chadwick Boseman wasn't just an actor. He was an embodiment of Black excellence, dignity, and purpose. Long before the world knew him as King T'Challa, he had already been portraying giants. Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall. He brought depth and truth to every role, understanding that representation wasn't just entertainment, it was responsibility. But while filming action sequences, red carpets, and emotionally heavy films, Chadwick was hiding a silent war. Diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016, he chose to tell no one outside his closest circle. Between surgeries and chemotherapy, he filmed Black Panther, Marshall, Da 5 Bloods, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He visited children's hospitals while quietly battling the same disease they were fighting. He carried the weight of pain with the grace of a king. When he died in August 2020 at age 43, the world stood still. Fans didn't just mourn an actor, they mourned a symbol of possibility. Chadwick showed that heroism isn't loud. It's selfless, disciplined, and rooted in purpose. His legacy lives in every child who crosses their arms and says, "Wakanda forever," believing, even for a moment, that they too
can be extraordinary. Naya Rivera, a mother's final sacrifice. Naya Rivera lived a life shaped by talent, charisma, and quiet resilience. She became a global sensation as Santana Lopez on Glee, delivering a performance that redefined queer Latina representation on television. Her voice, confidence, and vulnerability helped countless fans feel understood. Off-screen, Naya's life centered around one person, her young son, Jose. Motherhood wasn't just part of her story, it was her purpose. On July 8, 2020, Naya rented a small pontoon boat at Lake Piru, planning a peaceful afternoon of swimming with her son. But the lake was notorious for strong currents and sudden drop-offs. At some point, the water pulled them away from the boat. Jose later told investigators that after a swim, Naya lifted him onto the deck, then disappeared beneath the surface. She used her last breath, her final ounce of strength, to save her child. Her body was found 5 days later on the anniversary of Glee co-star Corey Monteith's death, another eerie link in a string of tragedies. Naya's story is heartbreaking, but also heroic. Her final act was pure, instinctive love, the kind only a mother can give. Her legacy lives on in every life she touched, especially the one she saved.
These 10 tragic deaths prove that even the brightest stars in Black Hollywood faced unthinkable pain behind the spotlight. Some were taken by preventable accidents, others by violence, illness, addiction, or battles they fought alone in silence. And when you look at all these stories together, a pattern appears, one that forces us to ask hard questions. How much of this was fate? How much was negligence? And how much was the crushing weight of an industry that often demands everything while giving very little in return? But their stories aren't just tragedies. They're reminders to check on the people we love, to protect our mental health, to slow down, and to value life while we still have it. Every one of these legends left something behind, a lesson, a legacy, a warning. Which loss hit you the hardest and why? Let's talk about it in the comments below on Secrets of Black Star.